Ever felt the urge to share your voice through a podcast, only to be overwhelmed by the daunting challenge of all the technology, recording, and editing? Boi Carpenter, founder of the Inquisitive Leader, felt that too, until she found a surprising AI solution to help broadcast her message. It is a pleasure to have you here. Thank you so much for joining us. And to begin, would you like to give the audience an introduction about yourself?
Yes. So my name is Boi Carpenter, and I am the founder of Inquisitive Leader, which is a passion project of mine. And it really is a community that I've created for managers and leaders to really help them lean into inquiry, lean into curiosity, ask questions, and really learn and grow.
Very cool. I'm going to jump right into it. First big question I have for you is, before you discovered Jellypod, right? Before before you even knew it was a thing, what were you trying to accomplish in the podcasting space, or more generally?
Yeah, no. So I had an idea. So I really have done a lot with blogging, and that had been my main sort of way of communicating with people and through my website. But I really wanted to create these sort of micro learning moments, or have sort of these moments where people could have micro inspirational moments. And so I started navigating what having a podcast would be. And it was quite daunting to sort of think about, if you were going to produce something yourself, what would that look like? And I've been really leaning into AI and decided that I would try to determine if there was a way to have AI assist in sort of taking some of that work out of creating sort of something that I thought would be helpful for people, like 10-minute nuggets where they can learn something and be inspired by something, maybe spark a question or idea.
So you mentioned, daunting. I love that word. What challenges would you say kind of made up that daunting? Like, what were some of the big challenges you feel like you had to overcome?
So just technology to begin with, like what microphone would I use? I had no idea. What was an RSS feed? I had no idea what that was, how you sort of set up things, thinking about the content and the flow of conversation. If I was doing it myself, scripting myself in a way that would take probably more time because I wouldn't just be reading a blog post, just even taking the time to record, what that would look like. So all those different pieces, and then sort of the packaging of that, to think about how would I package it and how would I distribute it. So those were all pieces that were quite daunting.
The whole process, there's a lot to do. And then, assuming that you got over, all of those challenges, what was your goal for the podcast? What was your overarching, goal for this initiative?
Yeah, it really is to be able to sort of every week or every 2 weeks launch a podcast where people get a nugget of information that they actually can listen to as they're driving into work or during a break, over lunch, or on the drive home, that maybe has them think about something a little bit differently and explore a question. I tend to try to have a coaching mindset in terms of creating my blogs and creating the podcast. So there usually are some coaching questions that are embedded. And so the idea is to give someone something that they actually can return to and not have to read necessarily. It gives people a way to take in the content in a different format.
Yeah, no, I like this idea of sort of continued learning and like continued thought, right? Where you kind of have people, in a car, or, getting ready, or on a break, like where they're sort of, they have time to think. So to spark that curiosity with something is great. At a high level, why was this so important to you? These bite-sized nugget learnings.
Yeah, I think everybody learns in different ways. And so I wanted to do something that really was more audible for people to take in that way. I know that I like listening to books when I'm driving into work and listening to podcasts when I'm driving into work. So it just was really important to have a different way for people to take in the information that I have in a way that meets them where they are.
Is there a specific moment where you really wanted to do this project when it first came to you? You were like, I really need to start this podcast.
So I actually been thinking about it for probably about a year, and
Wow.
People used to think that I had a podcast because I would be on other people's podcasts.
I see.
So I thought, well, I probably should think about doing it. And then I started to do just a little bit of research, and it literally was like one weekend sitting down, just getting to the computer and looking through what are all the possibilities in using AI to create a podcast, that I came upon Jellypod.
Oh, awesome. How did you discover us?
So there were some videos on YouTube where there were
Amazing.
people that were doing some reviews of different podcast tools. And I had a chance to kind of look at a number of them. And I went to each website for each of the products and just really engaged well with the Jellypod website. And there was the ability to sort of start free, which was great. So I kind of put all of my information in and gave it a try. And I think that might have actually been the only one where I could do sort of a free trial and have a sense of whether it was something that resonated with me or not.
If you don't mind, sharing which options, I mean, you don't have to mention all of them, but any that come to mind, which options did you consider? Did you consider not doing any at all?
Yeah, so Notebook LM was one that I'd looked at in Wondercraft. Notebook LM, the reason that I didn't choose a great product was because the distinguishing factor for me with Jellypod was the fact that you allowed someone to be able to clone their voice so that a podcast could be in my voice. And that was something that was really important to me in terms of kind of remaining authentic to the way that I write and to the way that I deliver content. And so being able to clone my voice was something that was really appealing. And when I did, and the fact that it got intonation and everything was really cool.
That's awesome. That is awesome. This will be like the final part of the before, part of this. Like, what did success look like? So, you want to start a podcast for over a year. You've looked at a bunch of things. You've taken a first step into Jellypod. What kind of outcome or metrics or anything at all that you were hoping to get out of this?
Yeah, so I think sort of building a following. So I'd never had a YouTube channel before. And so that was something, sort of another feature that I really liked was there were a lot of instructional videos about how to go about sort of creating sort of the Spotify link and podcast and doing it on Apple Play, and then also getting a YouTube channel. So for me, that was another way for me to have all these different avenues for people to be able to take in the content. I really hope to build a following that way, either on YouTube or Spotify or Apple, where I am posting every couple of weeks, and people can take that in as part of what they follow and download as they're able to sort of either driving to work or, as I said, lunch. Just have those questions kind of nibbling away at their brain about how they can think about a problem differently, or how they actually are doing fine. They're not doing as badly as they think they are, and that they have someone cheering them on.
That's awesome. Now kind of going one step further into the product, it'd be awesome if you could just walk us through how exactly does Jellypod help you do what you're trying to do.
Yeah, so usually what I do is I take a blog post or something that I've written, and then I'm able to put that into Jellypod, and it creates all of the different chapters and expands on what it is that I've written about. I'm able to then edit, which is wonderful because there might be other things that I want to say. I might want to provide an example of a time when, and now that I'm really getting used to the tool, I have a sense of, here, this might be a place where I can put a more personal story, or I can say something in a different way. So that is something that I really enjoy about the tool. It's also sort of very easy you can generate it and listen to it. And then if you want to edit, you can go in and edit things, which is really helpful because sometimes I decide, I just really don't want to say it this way. I said it that way. And one of my favorite features that was, I think, day 2 for me was the intro and outro. So really thinking about how it all ties together in the way that it's seamless and seems like any other podcast that someone would listen to.
That might have been it. Were there any other unexpected benefits during your use?
Well, no, a number of people have been saying, oh my gosh, you have a podcast now. And I don't know where you find the time to do all of this. And I'm like, well, I said, AI has helped me. So it is definitely, I have a full-time job. And my Inquisitive Leader project is really my passion project that I do in my spare time. But I really have wanted to amplify what I'm doing so that it can reach more people. And this was like the perfect way for me to be able to still give the same quality that I like to give into the products that I create, but in a way that is much more seamless and sort of helps me without having to have another employee. I have Jellypod.
That's awesome. If Jellypod were to suddenly disappear
Gosh.
tomorrow, what would you miss the most about it?
Oh my goodness, I would miss not being able to have a podcast. That would be very sad, because it really is something that people are really starting to sort of like and get the hang of and see that there's a different way to take in things. So yeah, no, don't say that. That would be a very scary moment for me.
No, just a thought exercise. Just a thought exercise. It's a fun question to ask. And then I guess, to finish up, this is a question we always like to ask, but if you were to describe Jellypod to a friend in a single sentence, what would you say?
I think I would say Jellypod is a way to be able to be present in a different way. And also, I mean, I think there's also an unexpected factor to it in terms of the way it picks up on phrases, the way that it has sign-offs. It just is a way to amplify yourself in a different way without sort of having to have the extra worry around it. So I know that's a very long sentence, but that definitely is. It's sort of like another version of me. It's a digital version of me, which I like having.
Very cool. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate you joining us and
Thanks,
for sharing
Jason.
your story. Thank you so much.
Thanks. I appreciate it. Take care.